Hello boys and girls, my name is Mekkah, and today we are continuing the bored RNGod plays FE8 playthrough. It's been a while since I uploaded the last part, which is also the first part, so a quick recap. This is meant to be a demonstration of what can happen in FE8 if the RNG cooperated with you in every way possible. How many turns would it take to beat the game? We're doing Ephraim's route. Last time we did chapters Prologue 1 and 2, and I did with Rengor. Now Rengor right now is a little burned out on Fire Emblem. So instead I did the playthrough on my own with a bunch of help from some other cleverer people than me. General Horus has helped me a lot. He's done a couple of clears and he's responsible for the main route change that caused the redo, because I already played like most of the game in LTC, and then Horus was like, wait dude, you could save like 5 more turns here and there. So I had to go back and redo most of the routes. And I also had some help from Arissa, mostly in chapter 12. So this run is almost more like a collaboration of people who like FE8. Or I guess more like people who like LTC some of the time. So thanks a lot to those two. The run has finally been finished, and now I can finally start commentating and uploading them, which is the fun part, you know, the part where you're done puzzling and you can just get to talk. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, let's get going with chapter 3 with our newest recruited characters, Garcia and Ross, and we also get Naomi and Colm in this chapter. Naomi not very relevant besides chipping this wall and then recruiting Colm. That's all she's going to be doing for this run, unfortunately. She's going to be as irrelevant as Gilliam is after breaking this wall. Ross, however, a very important character, and the main reason I had to redo the route change and why I'm rigging this disgusting low percent RNX crit on this Brigand. Ross has to be a Berserker at some point in the game in order to save a turn on a route chapter. And he also does a couple of other things, but that's the main reason that we need to train him. But that's going to take quite a bit of investment because he does start as a trainee, he needs to promote to Pirate first and then become a Berserker. His father, Garcia, much less relevant besides breaking this wall. Garcia's not a bad character early game, but the reason we don't use him too much is because we need so much EXP on our other characters. We already mentioned that Vanessa needs a bunch of levels and Franz needs to promote by chapter 8. In addition, I also need Ross to become a pirate in a pretty quick fashion, not as quick as most LTC runs. Usually in LTC you need Ross to be promoted by chapter 7 to help you cross the river. In this case we can wait a little longer, but it really helps to have him promoted by chapter 8. We also need to get a level on Colm, who is about to join us, and we also have a couple of other characters who need EXP, such as Archer, who joins in the next chapter. So there's just no real room for Garcia to kill enemies, but it does help breaking this wall down. Now on turn 1, Seth opened the door and missed his Brigand so that Ross can get an easy level off of him. I actually regret doing this because it turns out that the door key that was used to open that door is one of very few that I can get in an LTC run, and there were a couple spots where I really wished I had a door key at hand. It didn't end up costing me anything, but at a couple moments it did look like it was, so it was kind of scary, and I did end up needing that Brigand kill, so I would have had to reroute this somehow to get that Brigand. I think Horus managed to do it, but unfortunately I wasn't as good. We also have Mulder. We recruited him in the last chapter, we didn't talk about him much. He needs to heal quite a bit to get to A stabs and promote not in time, and by in time I mean like chapter 16 or something, even later than that. For Mulder, it's kind of important to get him heal as often as you can. But we couldn't do that in turn 1 in this one because there was only one enemy in range, and the only person who, well, not the only person, but like I killed him with Ross, who couldn't level up because he had no previous EXP gain. He doesn't get 100 per level or per enemy. So that's why Mulder missed the turn 1 heal. It's no big deal. EXP for Vanessa and Franz, as I said, comes at a premium. And after risky things like getting Vanessa to this low HP by that Archer, no risk of death here, but she does end up having to do a couple of Slim Lance crits and risky dodging and stuff. Mostly on player phase, so not too hard to manipulate, but kind of annoying. What you have to do in this playthrough kind of a lot is try to have Seth set up kills for others. I think it's kind of funny that good players tend to tell new players not to worry about giving their Jagan character their pre-promotes kills because they're really good. But in an LTC like this, where you actually need to promote some unpromoted characters really quickly, it's actually very, very useful to not have Seth kill things. But thankfully by rescuing Erica, we make sure that he doesn't double anything. And that makes it a lot easier to weaken enemies for Franz and Vanessa so that we don't have to do those disgusting low percent crits, which is very nice. I think I mentioned that Colm needs a level, so that's like, he gets a bonus on whatever EXP he gains. I think it's like 1 times 5 as fast as other characters, so I'm not in a hurry to give him that kill that he needs to get there, and instead I just try to feed the upper brigand to Ross. I think Ross gets a kill on every turn in this chapter, which is more than I expected to be able to give him. When Horus first told me he needs to raise Ross, I was like, oh my god, my XP gains are already very tight. I barely managed to get Vanessa and Franz the levels I need, and now I need to feed kills to another character, but it turns out it was pretty alright. This chapter cannot be done any faster than this, as far as I know. The squares just don't work out where Erica can seize earlier than 4 turns, because she has to be rescued and dropped in range. And the only one who can get her there in time is really Seth. Maybe Franz or Vanessa could do it, but then they couldn't get as much XP. I like how Vanessa gets a crit here without having to burn any RNs or anything. That worked out pretty nicely. Unlike the boss kill is of course going to be pretty silly. As the run goes on, these kind of RN burns will be less and less common, because Franz and Vanessa, once they've gained their like 9 to 10 levels and they're in promoted state and then promoted, they'll be able to take all these enemies on their own, and even bosses can be 1 round KO'd, but as is, this is kind of the deal that we have to work with. So yeah, that's chapter 3 wrapped up in 4 turns. There's nothing good in the chest, so there's no point in having Colm pick anything. So let's move on to chapter 4. Okay, so chapter 4 is very different. It's a route map. Thankfully it's not the worst route map ever. You'll certainly find out which are the worst route maps ever. We get Archer, who is another character who is really XP hungry. We need him to promote as soon as possible with the guiding ring we get in chapter 5. And then he needs to start building staff rank so that he can use warp in time. But right now he's a monk, he cannot use staffs, just light magic. Which makes him pretty flexible in where he can attack from, but he is kind of frail. But he does have a pretty good crit rating, because light magic has an innate 5 crit, so it's easy to rig him a kill every now and then. Other than that, route maps are a pretty good opportunity for characters like Franz and Vanessa to get kills once again. But you also got to make use of our other characters. Unfortunately, the lower right portion where the boss is, it has like most of the enemies, and we have to get rid of most of them with Seth, because he's the only one who can reach them and 1 round KO them in a fashion that's quick enough. And by quick enough, I mean 2 turns, because that's as quick as you can finish this chapter. It's kind of tricky to do, because you need to trigger the reinforcements that appear at the upper left where Ross is. By crossing the river, like there's a red line on WOD if you check it there, and if you cross it, those reinforcements appear right away, and we want to trigger those as soon as possible because they're pretty much unavoidable, or maybe I think they're actually avoidable, but we don't even want to because Ross can get so much XP there, it's not even funny. Archer got a pretty fortunate enemy phase crit to kill one of the Moguls, the flying eyeballs. It's pretty nice. That way he can just spend his player phase in the other one, and the first one isn't in the way, because Franz is going to get rid of all the skeletons on the right. I think they're called Bone Walkers. I never really remember the monster names because I don't really care. It's like, you just describe them what they look like, right? You just say eyeballs. The upper left monster that Ross attacked on player phase, the only thing about him is he doesn't attack right away. I think his AI is like wait 1 turn and then attack. He does move, but he doesn't like kill himself unless you attack him first, then he becomes aggressive. So I guess Ross just pissed him off by attacking him. Ross is pretty close to 1 round killing these guys, but it's actually better if he spends a player phase not 1 round killing one of them, because it gets him a little bit of extra XP since he spends an extra turn in combat. He does need to dodge a little bit on enemy phase. I think it's like 2 out of the 4 or 1 out of the 4 in order to survive. Kind of depends on the order, because every level up he gains 1 defense and 1 HP. Well, the HP doesn't make a difference, but the defense does. Erica does what she does in chapter 2, which is just visiting a village for an Iron Axe we're never going to use. Very useful character. Vanessa's very important here because she can reach the enemies near Lut's village pretty easily and get some XP that way. Not as much as we'd like. If Vanessa could kill all the enemies in the lower right, that would be amazing, but she can't. Lut is automatically recruited by just finishing the chapter, really. The village cannot be destroyed or anything, so you don't need to visit the village in order to recruit Lut. This is a full recruitment run, so if I did have to visit the village, then I would probably have to do it with Vanessa, and it will probably cost me a turn. But yeah, the monsters in general are pretty weak. You can see that Ross can 1 round them now with the Iron Axe, thanks to the level ups he's been getting. And Franz can also 1 round these skeletons on the right. And Vanessa is also right on point in one-round KOing the monsters. I don't think she could do it with a Javelin, and I think there are some monsters that she cannot one-round KO, or if they were on a forest she wouldn't one-round KO. So it's pretty fortunate how it worked out here. Seth, of course, one-round KOs, and he's also, I believe, the only one who one-rounds KO the boss. The boss gives like a bunch of EXP that I would have liked to give to someone else, but at the same time, Seth actually needs some level ups too. Before Chapter 8 even, there is a benchmark that it needs to reach in order to get the boss kill, so it's not all wasted EXP, but I wish some of it could have gone to my lower level characters. But it's all good. We wrap it up in about 2 turns, and you know, for a route this wasn't too RNG intensive. Usually if something has to go right in an enemy phase like 10 times, it takes forever to rig it to happen that way, but Anna was merciful this time and gave me just what I needed. I think the most shaky thing is like Ross and Seth landing all their hits, because they have to deal with terrain for a little bit, and Seth is using a Javelin. But it all works out in the end. So that's Chapter 4, finished in 2 turns. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this series, because I'm gonna be continuing it. Like, even if it doesn't get that many views or anything, I still enjoyed doing it. I still enjoyed making this, despite all my ranting on Discord. So, yeah, thanks, and I'll see you guys around.